Hey guys, Scoobert is an eggplant here. What you're about to hear next is a podcast recording breakdown of my song, I'm an Idiot. So you can hear a little bit about the production and recording things that I did, as well as some of the songwriting techniques used. If you enjoy it, you can find links to more podcasts at scoobertdoobert.pizza. My website is scoobertdoobert.pizza, or you can search Music 101 Scoobert Doobert in Spotify, and you'll find the link there. New episodes every week on Mondays.
Hey dudes, this is Scoobert Doobert, a one-man band from San Diego, California. I'm going to be breaking down some of my songs like a track-by-track commentary, and so I figured why not start with I'm an Idiot, which just got picked up by New Music Friday, which is Spotify's discovery playlist with 3.7 million followers. So yeah, feeling pretty honored and stoked to even be included. And I figured this would be a great time to talk about my music, talk about my process, and kind of go stem by stem and, show you what's up. So let's dig into my new single, I'm an Idiot. I thought that I knew it all, but I didn't know that I'm an idiot. So with most Scoob songs, I start with groove so that I can kind of get a feel for the heartbeat of the song. So let's talk about the drum stem a little bit. I want to point out a few things that, I liked doing in this one. So this one has a really busy kick drum pattern. Dum, 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 dum. And it's accented by these claps that I kind of picked up with what was I doing? I was doing a cover of Where Did Our Love Go? This escaped me for a second. Where Did Our Love Go? Holland Dozier Holland Supreme song. And it starts with these really cool roomy claps. And so I was kind of inspired and was like, I want to start a song with claps and have them prominently featured. So it turned into this clap, clap, clap throwback kind of thing on the heart of this song with reverse snare drums. You hear the wait for it, before the hit. That sound, that reverse snare drum that precedes the backbeat, the snare hits, that just gives you a little bit more of a sense of motion with the syncopated dance all around it of those claps and that busy kick drum and the snares. The other thing that I want to point out are those cymbal hits that are really deadened and pull it a little bit more modern in my opinion, so that it's not actually a drummer hitting a cymbal. Instead you hear it's choked right at that snare. Makes it feel more modern to me. You hear that? So that's kind of like the groove I built out for this song. And again, it's super steady. This is the actual drum stem for the whole song. It doesn't really change very much. It's busy, so I think that's part of what makes it okay for it to just be static, because there's a lot going on. And then finally, I want to point your attention to that hi-hat. Tried to program that in so that it has feel to it, human kind of feel, even though this is all program drums that I made in Pro Tools. I think that a lot of human feel comes out of adjustments in volume and intensity, and so that's what I tried to build in for that hi-hat pattern. So recently I learned a technique that apparently the Beatles used. I'm not sure if this is real, where they left the bass for the very end, and that's what I did for this song. So the next up, after I programmed out that basically drum loop that progresses throughout the entire song, was to lay down some guitar. So some of you might know that I am very into Japanese music. I've been learning the language, and this song built in some of the guitar progressions that I hear in Japanese music. That's a lot of forward momentum and actually using the guitar as a rhythm instrument in a more prominent way than I've been hearing in a lot of just standard pop music. Combine that with a chorus effect that you're hearing here that pulls a single guitar, which, here, let me flip it mono. So mono means straight up the middle. Stereo uses both of your ears. You hear how much thinner and kind of boring this guitar sounds compared to the stereo version, which I'll flip in now. I've been doing a lot of guitars kind of like this for the Big Hug album, which is going to come out next month on October 8th. Yeah, October 8th. So, trying to bring in some of that Japanese influence with guitar as well as throwback funk, and then some of that bedroom pop, chorus, Mac DeMarco world, stuff like this. And then you hear those top guitars. So now there are two guitars playing. One is way up on the top end of the register that's trying to bring, some interest once we hit this chorus section. And then it sucks in here and I roll off the high end frequencies. See how the guitar is like a little more throwback, mellow? And that gives me room to grow. And some mistakes left in the music, because personally, I think we need more of that in music, to just be human and let it roll. Most of the song, I'm pretty sure all of the song is just a straight take on guitar. No comping or editing. Probably, I think that's what it was. Anyway, it gives you that feeling of old school music, and I try to embed that in, again, a very modern thing with those looping drums. Anyway, so here comes like the last chorus. You can feel that build. So this is where I add reverb. Reverb is like a sense of space. So now all of a sudden the guitar is in a giant hallway or cavern, or I think it was a chamber reverb actually. But anyway, all digital. And in that previous section, so here, let me turn this down because it's a little hard to hear. So in that previous section with all the reverb, that was me trying to open it up so you feel like this, the lyric is suddenly I realize. It's supposed to be this epiphany kind of moment where it opens it up and you're in a new space. But then after that, I want to pull you into a contrasting space. And so that's what the guitars end up doing. So listen to how much more present the guitars get. That's why it's hard for me to talk over it. The reverb's going away. Now it's in your face. Now it's away again. And now it's in your face again. And then you hear that roll off of the high ends, making it sound more vintage. So yeah, all sorts of stuff. Lots of little tricks that just kind of play with your emotion. And then this is artificial harmonics. Up at the top of the guitar, there's a guy named Ted Green, Greene, and his record Solo Guitar is kind of what inspired me to do stuff like that, where basically you're using both of your hands to create these nice little beautiful harmonic sounds. I'll show you again. Is that pretty? I think it's pretty. All right, now it's time for one of the most embarrassing things ever, to solo my vocal and to listen to myself sing with no accompaniment.
I thought that I knew it all, but I didn't know that. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot.
I use little hms as this repetitive little thing that kind of goes throughout the entire song. The reason why I did that was, again, we had those looping drums, and I thought it would be cool to have a looping vocal, so the whole song felt like this repetitious engine that you're just part of. And then on top of it, I figured it would be cool to have a really rhythmic verse so that it brings in a little bit of hip hop and a little bit of flair over that loop. So here's the verse.
Sometimes I feel like I'ma swallow my tongue, not catching on, carry on with something dumb. I'm laughing along, oh yeah, I mean no. I'm sorry dude, I didn't follow.
So that ooh yeah part, typically I record background vocals where I, actually sing the background vocal. In this case, I actually just pitched it using something called Melodyne.
Oh yeah.
And what that program allows me to do is just basically move around a vocal. So it's creating an artificial harmony. Obviously, I could sing that if I wanted to, but it sounds different when I do it in the box through an artificial thing. And to me, it sounds more like a vocoder or something that's super locked in, that gives it that modern thing. I've got all these other throwback elements, from the guitars to the those clap things that I was kind of pulling from Motown, that I thought anywhere else in the vocal, it should be pulled as modern as possible.
I'm jealous of the narcissists. Shoot they shot but never think they miss.
And just like the guitars, in this pre-chorus section, I'm rolling off some of the high ends for the vocal to give it that vintage space, but also give it somewhere to grow. What I started with on my early music was basically just trying to capture what lo-fi meant to me and what vintage meant to me. And I think that people are more cool with that if you go from lo-fi to hi-fi rather than just stay lo-fi the entire time. I'm cool with lo-fi the entire time, but with my recent music, I've started to open it up. So then you hit a chorus and it's this big, modern, bright moment, and then you go back to a verse and it tightens up again and it feels lo-fi. And I'm not sure, but you need to let me know. Shoot me a message if you like that better. I think that people are digging that more just because I'm getting more listeners and songs are doing well. But yeah, I'm curious. Anyway, I've been liking it too, where again, it's all about contrast and pulling you through. People have got really short attention spans, so I'm trying to create drama and interest between sections. And on those early records where I really prioritize learning how to do lo-fi, I'm trying to bring that into this more modern pop arrangement. So it's got like a foot in both worlds. So listen how the vocal evolves going into this chorus.
But for me it's obvious, I'm an idiot.
Hear all that top end come in, all that air. So the vocal is now opened up, and there's still not a lot of reverb, so the vocal is very present and kind of in your face.
I'm just trying to go to bed, but my brain be skipping.
Second verse.
On my permanent record.
Same deal there with the vocoder thing. So what I'm doing is, I don't think I usually actually don't auto-tune my main vocal because I want, if you come to see me live, I want you to know what to expect. And even if maybe that makes the song not do as well, I think it's cool to give you my actual pitch center in the vast majority of songs to so that you like me for me rather than some robot. However, I think that it's cool then when you take that pitch center, you run it through a thing that's basically like auto-tune. So I'm not auto-tuning the main vocal, but then the harmonies around it are constructed. They're not actually sung. And so they're using the exact pitch center, the exact pitch glide of that imperfect center vocal to create a harmony around it that is robotic but imperfect at the same time. I know I'm kind of ranting, but I'm hoping that makes sense. Where it's taking, to me, the best of both worlds, where it's human and artificial. It's throwback, it's modern, and it's tight, it's locked, but it's not locked to a center vocal that is heavily manipulated. It's locked to a center vocal that is pretty natural.
Regret gets harder. Dream of stupid things I said every time I go to bed. Jealous of the narcissist.
Then we're back to the pre-chorus. Got that rolled off vocal again.
But for me it's obvious.
Open up here.
I'm an idiot.
Air and vocal information up top. Yeah, so that's basically the progression. It's doing the same thing again. We're back in this chorus, and now we're gonna go into this instrumental section.
I'm an idiot.
And here at the end, the top end goes away. I'm rolling it off, so I'm preparing you that we are going into this transition, which is the bridge, which is that moment of transformation. That's that moment of arrival and epiphany.
Suddenly I realize nobody is really looking my way. Only in
Doubled
my
the
head
vocal,
am I really
so there's one in
that
each ear.
important? Does anybody really care that I'm an idiot? Probably not a little bit.
A little plosive there, but whatever.
You might be a little entertained by the city.
Like, I'm cool with vocals not being perfect. I'm cool with things not being perfect.
I'm jealous of the narcissist.
And now we're back, rolled off even more.
Shop and never think they miss. But for me it's obvious.
And then the big moment,
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
a pitch down vocal. That's like that thing I'm using, Little Altar Boy by Sound Toys
I'm an idiot.
to create that monster sound.
I'm an idiot.
I'm also using it on the top.
Suddenly
Hear that?
I realize nobody is really looking my way. Only in my head am I really that important? No one cares that I'm an idiot.
Okay, so that's a perfect example of like what I'm talking about with the robot chorus that I'm building, that I'm picking all of the notes, and I'm using an imperfect center vocal to feed that robot chorus. Let me play that again, just so you can hear that the arrangement is all happening inside of the computer. It's all stuff that I'm choosing. I'm choosing what notes to go. But it's a fun blending of, I could sing that if I wanted to, but I'm choosing not to sing it because it's a certain effect. It's trying at least to use these tools that are like autotune in a different musical way.
Suddenly I realize Nobody is really looking my way. Only in my head, am I really that important? No one cares that I'm an idiot.
All right, now we turn to bass guitar. I've laid down everything. I also have, the whistles and the FX, but like whatever. I'm whistling, like there's not too much to it. And then after that, I lay in my bass to tie everything together. So this is the thing that I learned from the Beatles. Whether or not it actually happens, I'm not sure. But I think it's a cool way to do it because now you know where the room is when you're playing bass. So let me show you kind of how this all locks in together. So I tried to build a bass part that's really syncopated to lock in with those drums. It's funny listening to bass on its own because it is very much, to me, the bass is the glue guy of the band. He pulls everybody together where you have the rhythm, the harmony, and the bass is that Captain America grabbing the helicopter and the ledge and pulling it together. And so that's what I'm trying to do with the bass. I think it'll be easier. Let me drop in the drums so you can hear the bass and the drums together. Hear how the bass is kind of both locking with the kick pattern, but also kind of pulling away from it. That's to lock in with what the drums are doing, but also lock in with what the guitar and the vocals are doing, being that glue guy. Again, little imperfection, which I'm cool with. And here is where I go down to those lower strings. I have a 5-string Ibanez bass that I'm playing on this. Those like big bass slides, I think, are great transitions into a new section like we're in right now. Or again, it gets tinier, and by taking away the bass, by taking away that low end, naturally everything gets smaller. And here I'm palm muting the bass, which means that I'm deadening it with my palm as I pick it. Which again changes the tones, so then this section feels different than the others. It gives more of that contrast. Now I'm playing kind of higher up in the register, so there's a little less low end information, again making it smaller. And then from there, that gives us a place to build into that dramatic last chorus, which is coming up. Listen to the palm muting's coming off a little bit. Now it's like a little more distorted on the bass, more saturation. The frequencies are pushing a little bit more. It's a little punchier because we're in that last section, trying to push you through the end. And now drama. Stereo bass. Breaking all the rules. Yeah, I love stereo bass. See how the bass flipped out to the sides, and that gives you that last little bit of, hey, I had more under my sleeve, in my sleeve, and then you let it all out at the end, so they feel all cathartic, because it's matching what the lyrics are saying, and that's kind of the part that I've left out of this podcast, because to me the song is a little obvious, but I should dig into the why behind the song, and that drives the why behind the arrangement. So for a song called I'm an Idiot, I figured I couldn't be too heady about the overall arrangement. That's why it's like looping and driving. And then it's also about that epiphany of saying, hey, I think that we're all idiots in our own special way. Once we get a little bit older and we fail more and we have more things that we regret and more times that we want to go back and change things, I think that that's when we find our humility. And I think that's a big part of becoming a decent human being, which we're all, endeavoring to get better at every single day. And it's that finding that humility and finding that sense of not being perfect and making mistakes and thinking that you're an idiot. But by recognizing that no one really cares that you think that you're an idiot, ends up turning it from self-deprecation and a negative thing where you're losing confidence to something where you regain that confidence and you don't feel as much of that imposter syndrome and that feeling like I am an idiot and no one else is. It's that feeling of I'm empowered because I've realized my own idiocy. And so it stands in contrast with that pre-chorus with it's all, I roll off the high end where it's I'm jealous of the narcissists, shoot they shot and never think they miss. But for me, it's obvious I'm an idiot, where that's like a really negative sentiment. But by the end, the suddenly I realize is flipping it, where it goes from that tight arrangement space where the high end is rolled off to a bright arrangement space where I've got those robot choirs that I programmed singing alongside me, with that epiphany moment saying, suddenly I realized, suddenly this all like clicked. And I shouldn't feel the way that I do in those pre-choruses. I should feel the way I do in this chorus, in this outro. And so that's how I'm trying to use both song form and arrangement to back up the lyrical journey of the song that is going from being weak to being strong, but keeping the same sentiment. It's a song about transformation through this idea that I think we all feel of like, man, that was stupid. But once you recognize everybody does stupid stuff, then it's liberating and it makes you feel more human. So that's this song, I'm an Idiot. Thank you for joining me on this 20-minute plus exploration of the arranging techniques and all that good stuff for this song. I recorded it on a MacBook Pro laptop through an Apollo Twin, Universal Audio Apollo Twin, and an SM7B microphone. The drums were mostly samples. I think it was all just samples that I programmed in. So it's like a little individual hi-hat hit or kick drum hit that I move around and put where I want in the computer. I played a Fender Stratocaster on this one, just directly into the Apollo. Sang it through this SM7B, the Shure SM7B microphone. What else did I do? The bass is that Ibanez bass that I was talking about. Ibanez basses are really hard because they're a bunch of like numbers and letters, so I don't really remember what the bass is called. But I'll follow up on that. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I use Melodyne to make those robot voices. And that's the song. So coming up next, just listen to the whole song and see if you have like a new appreciation for it. And feel free to hit me up on Instagram or anything. You can find all of my links at www.scoobertdoobert.pizza. Scoobertdoobert.pizza. That is my actual website URL. You can find all my links there and just hit me up. If you have any questions, or if you want to talk about anything, or if this is fun or not fun, let me know. Anyway, I'm an idiot, and so can you.